This is an entry-level IM from Venture Electronics or VE. So hello and welcome to Aftersound Review, and this is my review for VE Azure. And just like usual, I will break down this review from the build, fit, frequency response, sound, and comparison. By the way, this IM is using single dynamic driver and costs only around $40. Starting from the build quality, honestly, it looks quite good with this faceplate, but when I hold it in my hands, it simply feels like a cheap IM. The resin that is being used feels hollow. Maybe it doesn't really show here, but it feels really hollow and kind of cheap somehow. And they're using 2-pin connectors with an also very bad cable, I think, because it's stiff. It is stiff and microphonics, and yeah, it just feels like a very low quality kind of cable. In terms of ergonomic, for me, they are okay. At least for the housing shape. In my ears it sits nicely, but the trouble is, yeah, with the cable it just feels like a flimsy, but the cable, it just feels really cheap and doesn't feels like, oh, it's not really flexible. Well, in terms of sound design, it's pretty straightforward V-shaped IM with a lot of mid-bass fullness and also lower treble picks that is consistently easy to fill in every kind of song. It has energetic kind of signature, but in terms of mid-range forwardness, yeah, it just simply feels kind of recessed. Starting from the low frequency, it is obvious that this IM has an elevated kind of mid-bass to sub-bass area, making this IM is giving a full sounding kind of bass that is also well textured for a lot of genres of music. So if you like EDMs and such, you'll feel that you got a very full sounding punch from this IM, but for in terms of speed, it doesn't comes really fast. So maybe if you are interested in rock or metal music, this is not really for that. Now, in terms of mid-range of this IM, yeah, the upper mid-range is more favored rather than the lower mid-range, giving more sensation of forwardness, especially for female vocal, rather than male vocal that feels a little bit dry here. But the thing that is also affecting the mid-range, or at least what you perceive in the mid-range area like the vocal, is the lower treble picks that is constantly being heard if you are hearing singers like in music Galway Girl from Ed Sheeran, or when you are listening to Time by Leona. Every kind of S or T pronunciation will get more forward, and honestly it is kind of distracting. It's emphasizing the sibilance from the vocals and any kind of song. So the mid-range is colored by that lower treble picks, and it's making it somehow kind of feels bright and dry. But for piano and guitar, I think that it's actually kind of okay-ish. It's just that the vocal, I always get distracted by the sibilance that it always occurred in this IM, especially in not really good recording. In terms of treble, this IM favors lower treble rather than upper treble, so it's making things like cymbals crash, you feel, rather than the crash itself, you hear it more like tss, tss, tss. It's more emphasized there. And also S or T pronunciation is simply making this IM feels bright in nature, but it doesn't really actually extend it. So when I'm trying to hear some orchestral music, I do feel that there are some cut in the upper treble section. So overall, this is an energetic kind of tonal, but lacking finesse to it. The treble is just uneven and too peaky, and that's very obvious in some kind of songs. In terms of technical, actually I would say that this IM is quite okay. It got good 3D-ness to it. You got this small ball kind of imaging, and you get that good kind of instrumental separation from this IM. It's just the tonal that I have the problem with. The technical is actually quite good. Comparing them with the already well-known Kiwiears Cadenza at $35, Kiwiears Cadenza simply giving you more controlled treble and more controlled kind of bass, making everything sounds more balanced, but not as energetic as this VE Azure. Well, the Kiwiears Cadenza has much smoother mid-range and much smoother treble area that makes me can enjoy them for a long time. But honestly, I really cannot enjoy this VE Azure, even though it's a little bit more exciting in treble attack than the Kiwiears Cadenza, but the Kiwiears Cadenza is simply much more balanced. Now comparing them with the KKZ HB Con, which I think the best IM for $40, KKZ HB Con is obvious, it's also have that kind of thickness in the bass area, and honestly, if you ask me, I like them both, the KKZ HB Con and also the VE Azure. They both really have that authoritative, thumping, deep kind of bass that makes every kind of music exciting. But the thing when it comes to upper mid-range to treble balancing, the KKZ HB Con is simply better. It doesn't have the lower treble picks that is very prominent in this VE Azure, but the upper mid-range is simply more forward. In the KKZ HB Con, maybe in some music the vocal could be a little bit more thinner, but as an overall, yeah, I simply prefer the KKZ HB Con. And also in terms of technical, KKZ HB Con is a touch wider and deeper in soundstage perception. So honestly, is this a good IM? I would personally say that this is almost a good IM, and I almost can recommend it for maybe bass head, if not because of that lower treble picks that is really prominent and really noticeable in any kind of songs. When I turn them on, yeah, it's just really distracting, and I personally definitely cannot really recommend this IM because of that sibilance level. So that's all I could say about this IM, and this is my final score for its tonal and its technical. This is my final ranking, and I hope you enjoyed this review, and thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.